Hi, I'm Kate and I make junk journals, and today we're on episode 4 of our 5-panel fold-out series, and today we're going to make this page. So I have an announcement. It's not a big announcement. I am not going to do Q&As at the end of the video anymore. Instead, Q&As are going to be their own series. This way I can be a little bit more thorough at answering your questions, and they'll be a little bit more searchable and you can use them for references a little bit better. I think it'll be more helpful and it'll be a little bit easier for me. And one of the reasons I didn't do this initially is because I didn't want to come out with multiple series. I just want to do one video every Monday and occasionally throw out like a flip through video when I post to Etsy. But then I was like, this is my channel and I can do it whatever I want. There's no rules. So I'm not going to do a Q&A on like a weekly basis or any sort of regular thing. I'm just going to randomly do them and throw them on sometimes. And that is definitely something I can do, because if there's one thing I struggle with, it's consistency. I'm really proud of myself for coming out with a video every Monday so far. Good job, Kate. So keep your questions coming, and you can look forward to that in a future time of whenever my heart desires. So we're still working on our 5-panel fold out, and if you want to go back for the first tutorial in this series, then the link is in the description below. But if you just want to check out this page, and you can do it on any journal page, you don't have to do it on a 5-panel fold out, then you can totally just jump in and watch this video too, and it won't be too confusing. And this little series is from a request to tell you how I did one of my journal pages from one of my junk journal flip through videos. So let's go ahead and refer back to that video and just look at the panel that we're going to do today. So this one is definitely a go-to page for me, and it's really easy. And all we're doing here is creating a corner tuck, but we're going to be using lots of papers so that we can flip it open. So to do that, I'm just going to grab a handful of writing paper. So you can use all the same kind of paper, or you can vary it up and use lots of different papers. And that's kind of fun because then as you flip it open, you can kind of like see different colors and textures and stuff. So I'm going to keep it fairly simple this time and just use one of these avocado dyed papers, and then I'm going to just use the rest for this. Now you can use as many papers as you want. The more papers you add, obviously the more thicker it will get, and it might get a little too bulky for this paper. But I'm going to go ahead and choose 3 of these papers and 1 of these papers, so I'm going to use 4 papers total. And I usually just use 3 papers, but I am going to go for it and add an extra layer just for fun. And you can either cut them all into squares and then fold them in half, or fold them first. And I typically tend to fold them first, so that's how I'm going to do it. And I like this kind of burnt corner from this page, so I'm going to make sure that's in the corner so I can use it. And I'm going to fold it this way. And as I fold it, I just have to make sure that the sides of the triangle that I'm making aren't going to be longer than this panel, because I need it to fit inside it, and obviously if it's too big then I won't be able to put it on the page. So I will just kind of eyeball it, and luckily this has lines and that's going to help me kind of fold it, and I'm thinking somewhere there. And as you can see, this edge is within the border of that, and I have a little border there too, so that is going to fit really nicely there. And if it's perfectly square, that's great, and if it's not, that's fine too. I'm going to try to keep it pretty square as I cut this. Okay, and so that's kind of wonky, so I'm just going to kind of adjust my fold and kind of repress it. And I don't mind if there's a tiny bit peeking out or if it's not perfect, but just something close to straight. Okay, and then to get the papers to stay together, I actually take it to my sewing machine, and I'm just going to sew a straight line right on that fold line. And by straight line, apparently I mean a zigzag line. I did not check my settings and just sewed it through, and halfway through I realized it wasn't straight, and this works too though, but I usually do a straight line. And because I thought I was sewing a straight line and not a jaggedy line, it's actually off center. You can see that one edge is in the center and then the other edge is off, but that's fine. The only thing that changes is I'm gonna have to kind of fold this up like that, so it'll just bend that way when you open it, which I don't have a problem with. I think that's actually kind of cute the way it's zigzaggy. And now to kind of secure these little loose ends, I'm just going to grab my Beacon 3-in-1 glue and just kind of put a little dot in each corner, and then I can just kind of push those kind of on there, and I'll just trim those edges too and kind of stick those back there. Okay, so now this is ready to be glued on here. So I'm just gonna glue the back of this here and here. Okay, and then I'm gonna place it in this upper corner, just trying to give it a little bit of a border on each side and making sure that this corner stays away from that edge and that there's a little bit of room for that to fold over as well. So not all the way to the edges, but just kind of up in that top corner. Okay, and this sticks up quite a bit, so I'm just going to kind of roll these pages a little bit so that they kind of start curving this way and get those nice and loosed up and just kind of soften that edge a little bit. Then it will kind of hold its shape just a little bit better and not be too flapping open. Now I'm just going to kind of open it and just kind of crease each page just so that it kind of folds open nicely when I'm ready to write in it. Okay, that's looking good. Okay, and then we just grab a card and we stick it in there, and that is it for the construction of this panel. Now we already added just a tiny bit to that top corner. We put an extra paper on it, but that's not really different. So let's vary it up a tiny bit, and we still got a lot of room to play with. So let's see what else we can add to this. So we have all this little notebook space as writing space, and we can write on this back panel, and we can write on this card as well. But we can probably amplify this writing space. So I'm just going to create some sort of little tuck spot right here. And I have this leftover piece of paper, but it's a little bit thick. It's a kind of a heavier cardstock. And if I use one of these, then we can add a little bit of writing space to that. So that can go right here at the bottom, and we can hide another little journaling card or tag or something behind it. So we'll just glue the bottom of this. We'll stick that down there in the center. And then let's just add a thin little piece of washi tape along the bottom to kind of help keep that on, but also just to add another little element of design. And I'm gonna kind of measure it out and rip it and then run it through some glue so that it's nice and sticky. Okay, and then I'm just gonna grab one of these little cute list things, fold that up, and then I can kind of stick that right back there. And, you know, I could just kind of continue to shove both of them there, but this way it's a little bit more balanced in weight. Whereas if I were to put this under there, it would just make this more bulky, and it makes it a little bit more interactive. And, you know, when you move this away, then there's another thing that you get to discover. You know, I don't really like the way that pink and that salmon are right next to each other. It's fine, but I think I like the way this looks a little bit better. And I should probably embellish it a tiny bit. Sometimes I'll put like a random cute thing in the middle of here so that it's like a fun surprise, or I can decorate the top. So I'm not exactly sure what I want to do here. I think I'm gonna go ahead and leave this front part blank because I kind of like it to look really simple. And I'm making this journal for me, so I will do it to my preference. Oh, dang it. Okay, so I finished the tutorial and then I looked and saw my phone had turned off. So let's go back and figure out what it is that you missed. I just found a butterfly, glued the 4 spots to put a little tag in there. Thanks so much for crafting with me today. If you make anything from any of my tutorials, I would love to see it. You can tag me on Instagram at Kate's Junk Journals. Make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications. Thank you so much for all your amazing comments. Please keep your comments and questions coming, and I'll do a Q&A video sometime soon. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week when we finish this little project. So we're still working on our 5-panel. Let's calm down, everybody. And you know what? That's what I'm gonna do. Where's my scissors? Anyway, I'm getting weird. I better get back on track.